A large body of scientific evidence compiled over the last 15 years has shown that fine particles produced by burning fossil fuels like coal bypass the natural defenses of the body and lodge deep in the lungs. Particulate matter is dangerous. That from the 50-year-old Fisk and Crawford coal-fired power plants contributes to lung cancer, heart attacks, asthma attacks, strokes, bronchitis, respiratory emergency room visits, hospitalizations, and unfortunately premature deaths. As the Alderman mentioned, according to a peer-reviewed 2001 study by researchers at the Harvard School of Public Health, pollution from the Fisk and Crawford plants alone causes more than 40 deaths, 550 emergency room visits, and 2,800 asthma attacks every single year. Those who live closest to the plants are those most at risk. That includes all Chicago. Looking at the 2001 emissions that came out of the Fisk and Crawford power plant, it's actually over 14,000 tons of air pollution back in 2001. In 2009, it was 14,300 tons. There are over 430,000 people in Cook County alone living with asthma. Why should they have to breathe what is coming out of these dirty old power plants? Chicago right now has one of the highest asthma rates in the nation, and our asthma hospitalization rate is nearly double the national average. Unfortunately, Fisk and Crawford are still Chicago's largest sources of particulate-forming air pollution, and they are still compromising the health of all Chicagoans. Yes, US EPA and the Illinois Attorney General's office have filed lawsuits against the plants in federal court, but it will take many years to see any resolution. Illinois has rules that reduce pollution, perhaps over the next decade, at the Chicago plants, but this doesn't help the people who are breathing the deadly pollution now.
That's right.
Why should people wait patiently when they are all becoming patient?
My name is Joe Moore. I'm the alderman of the 49th Ward of Chicago. I am joined by Alderman Eugene Schulter and Alderman Scott Wagestack. Have also signed on as co-sponsors of this ordinance, and I believe one of them is on their way, is Alderman Sandy Jackson, who is on her way, as well as our next County Board President, Tony Preckwinkle, who has another commitment but has signed on as well. Tomorrow, those colleagues and others will introduce an ordinance in the Chicago City Council that will require Chicago's 2 coal-fired power plants to clean up their act. To reduce the amount of particulate matter and carbon dioxide they spew into the air. When this legislation passes, Chicago will do what no other large city in America has had the guts to do. Clean up a dirty power plant within its jurisdiction, and thus protect the health and welfare of its residents. Yes. In the last 3 years alone, those plants combined have spewed over 45 tons of pollution into our air, the air that we breathe. How many more people will you head on? Before they've even read one word of this legislation, the power company executives are already threatening us. They say rather than clean them up, they'll shut them down. They say their workers will lose those good union jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, labor has no greater friend in the Chicago City Council than Joe Moore. And I'm sick and tired of corporate executives scaring people about job loss just to try to save the bottom line.
These big companies have got to be taught the fact that we want to have clean air in the city of Chicago. Are you with me on that one? Absolutely. And we will make a difference tomorrow by setting a tone, a new tone for Chicago, that we want their acts to be
important. That aldermen, that people from all walks of life, we have Marianne Sparopoulos here from Water Rec, who also stepped up to the plate and is looking at these environmental issues. It definitely is the step in the right direction, but we need your help because we can't do it alone. There's only 2 or 3 of us up here today. There's going to be a few more tomorrow, but we need your help to get out there, reach out to your alderman and say, look, you're doing a lot of good work on all these other issues, but if we're not alive tomorrow and our kids can't live a nice clean future out there, call your alderman, call the mayor, and tell him to...
It's very personal for me because my 2 children have asthma. So every time I drive and I put them in the car with me, they're struggling to grasp for breath. If we're not fighting every day to ensure that the breath our children breathe is clean, then shame on us. Shame on us. This is an issue that can't wait until tomorrow. It can't wait until next month. It can't wait until next year. We've got to take action today. Every day we see these companies raising or making money hand over fist on issues like this that's killing our families. When you drive down the Bishop Ford Highway heading south, you can smell the pollutants in the air. You can smell it on a hot summer day, sitting in
about global warming. Why are we here today? Doesn't the state and federal government regulate power plants? They have, but they have not yet addressed global warming pollution. Isn't there this federal lawsuit? There is, but it will not resolve global warming pollution. We are here to act more quickly. We are here to fill those gaps, and the gaps are major. Fisk and Crawford are 2 of the largest contributors to climate change in the city of Chicago. They emit 5 million metric tons of carbon dioxide per year. That is as much global warming pollution as 1 million cars. And there is going to be bad stuff that happens from that pollution. The U.S. EPA has found that global warming will lead to more heat waves, more droughts, more flooding, more hurricanes, and more intense storms. Studies have found that in Chicago, we will see hotter summers with regular heat waves. I don't know how many of you were around in 1995, but that was a pretty bad summer, and we're going to see more summers like that. We will see worse air quality. We will see worsening water quality. We will see heavier rains that cause more frequent flash flooding. And we will see the beautiful Lake Michigan, its ecosystem change. Lake levels will drop. This will all impact people's health. We'll see more heat-rated mortality, especially in the elderly. We will see worsening air quality that impacts the lung health even more. We will see storm-related fatalities and injuries, and we will also see infectious disease. 20 years ago, when I was in college, I took a course on global warming. 20 years ago, and in that time, nothing has happened. We have gathered more evidence that global warming is happening. We've seen more of the effects of global warming on our climate, but there has been no concrete action by our government limiting global warming pollutants. That's right. And today, we, as the Chicago residents, say that we are not okay with that.
Right. Challenging the company to step up, and as Alderman Moore said, we are tired of being blamed for shutting companies down. That is not what we're saying. You have a wind farm in Southern Illinois. Push renewable energies, push these workers, push yourselves to do what is right and protect the health of our communities and the health of our children. So on behalf of Little Village and on behalf of Pilsen, we thank you for coming out today. We ask you to push your aldermen to vote for the Clean Power Ordinance, and for those aldermen who won't, we challenge you. We challenge you to step up and do
pass it. The question is, do I have the votes to pass it? Yes. Not today, yes, because yes. But we have the energy of the people in this room and beyond that will make sure that within a few weeks, few months, we will have the votes to pass it. I'm very confident.